Yeah. Well, no.
Lori's not ready, but Lori's not ready.
Looks like the stream was deleted.
I don't know. I'm like counting things. I'm like 1, 2.
It says it looks like the
4.
stream was deleted.
Oh, and we're live.
No,
Yeah, it
wait.
says you're live.
Why does it
says
say
live up there?
Yeah,
go live?
it's live.
Yeah, it
No,
says
I'm
it's live.
saying it's not live to Facebook.
Oh,
Let me
it was
see.
glitching earlier today where it wouldn't go. I had to like disconnect it and choose a different location.
Post was created on Facebook. Delete it.
25,
But I didn't delete anything on Facebook.
30.
Yeah,
Let's
it's
see.
definitely not live on Facebook. I don't see you.
Good thing we
And
went early.
if we need to just stop and let you reset it, we can do that too. That's no problem.
I just don't
You
know
can
why.
there's an edit button up top. You can hit edit and then you can disconnect the location and then either reconnect it or choose a different one.
But I'm on. It's there on Facebook. So I don't know why it. So what should I do? Just can't delete it and redo it?
Yeah, I would unlink it and then relink it.
Yeah, I don't see anything on your Facebook page.
It
Okay.
did this to me earlier, but then when I unlinked it and I relinked it to a different Facebook, then it worked.
All right. So I
Yeah.
cancel it or unlink it? I don't know how to unlink it. Let's
So
see.
you see up top where it has all the little circles?
Yeah.
Click the circle for the Facebook that's not working, and it'll ask you, do you want to delete it? And say yes, delete.
Okay.
And then
So hit
close it.
remove.
Save changes. Yep.
Okay. So delete on Facebook.
Yep.
Delete. Okay.
And then you can either choose the same one and see if it'll work, or
Okay. Yours is the same way.
awesome. So it's between StreamYard and Facebook today. So that's great.
Fortunately,
Well,
I
I'm
didn't.
already streaming it
Okay.
to
Yeah. Yours isn't working.
Twitter.
So wait.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's not working. So I'm gonna remove yours and you reattach it. This is very interesting for a lot of people, I'm sure. Oh, I can't delete it. You have to delete it. That makes no sense. Oh, you're gone. Okay, now relink it. Or do I have to do it?
no, I think I can. I think I can.
Hold on. Let me wait for it.
Hang out, peeps.
Hold on. Wait for
Save.
it.
Save changes.
Okay, it worked. For anyone that cares, now we're here. And look, right on time. See, I was right.
And a lesson of how StreamYard works.
There it is. I see it. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. I did see it, but now I don't see it. Oh, there it is. Now
Is
it's
it on
gone.
mine?
No, I see it. I see it on Carissa's page.
Okay.
So
And then I'm
Um,
sharing to my Twitter as well.
Awesome.
there you go.
Sure.
Sure,
So
she said.
the only update. What happened?
Huh? Hey.
Okay, so let's see. The update I have is my Kickstarter is over. I'm super thrilled.
Yeah.
I shipped out everything. I
Nice.
think I have 5 people that haven't 3 payments that need to be fixed and 2 addresses I'm waiting for. So as soon as those go through, I can ship the rest. But everything else is shipped. Which was great because yesterday I was super lazy and I didn't do a damn thing. So I was like crap, I'm behind. Well, behind for me because I only ended on Thursday. So it really wasn't.
I was like,
that
no one else fulfills that fast, so don't feel
Yeah.
bad. She's like, I'm behind. Whatever.
The best part is that I don't have to do any podcasts for the next 5 days while I'm waiting for the damn thing to start over again. The only thing is, like, when they ask me questions, I feel super bad that my answers are super boring. Like, they're like, how did you come up with names? I was like, well, for Draven, my co-writer Googled demon names and picked Draven. For girl names, I picked angelic names.
Yeah.
And I picked Seraphina because you can shorten it to Sierra, and then it became a joke that no one could say it but Draven, so that didn't help me at all. Yeah, that was super exciting. And then they were like, "Oh, what's your writing process?" I was like, "I sit down and type." Like, I no, no. He's like, "Oh, you guys talk it out?" I was like, "Yeah, we talk out. We get ideas, and then we have a general direction, and then that's it. We just write."
You're
Yeah.
like, well, there's nothing exciting to it.
No, I just lost poor Draven's on. Yeah, I said
I mean,
the
what
most.
do they expect though with writing? Do they expect like booze and strippers, or
You know what? Probably
that's part of your writing process, Tom? Booze and strippers?
I said
Strippers, yeah,
Oh,
for
okay.
sure.
Well, then there you go. That would be more
Um,
exciting. Next time, Carissa, lie and say booze and strippers are part of your process.
Well, I mean, it's pretty interesting that there's two people writing it. You know, I
Yeah.
write Serafina and she writes Draven, and then we both write minor characters and then, you know, write out the story. So it's written by two different people, which is very unique.
Yeah.
That's and then nothing else is exciting at all. How do you come up with your names, Tom? What do you have a fascinating way to come up with names? Because I hate coming up with names. I hate coming up with titles, names, nicknames, everything that has to do with naming something. I hate.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. And I try and I try and find things that like make sense because it all varies, right? So like when I'm doing
You're
stuff
already
with
ahead of
Penny
me.
for Your Soul and I'm dealing with heaven and hell and angels and stuff, I
Yeah.
try and I do like you talked about, go finding
Yeah.
lists of demon names and stuff. So there's tons of like you can just list angel
Bad boy
names or
names.
whatever.
Yeah.
But then when it's like just, hey, I got to name this like person on the sidewalk.
Larry.
Sometimes it's as simple as that. There was actually one time, I don't know why this happened, but because I'm not even a Matrix fan, but there was a character in Penny for Your Soul one time where I was like, okay, I have to come up with a name for this, and all of a sudden Mr. Anderson popped into my head, and he just became Mr. Anderson. That was it. And it just sat there, and I ran with it. So I think it all varies from book to book. Sometimes I want the name to mean something. So like in my shark book that I'm doing right now, there's this kind of nerdy kid that I needed to create I wanted a weird name, but I wanted the name to also have a meaning, you know, within the story. So I found this really strange name. His name is Olwyn, Olwyn, right? But and I don't know what, I can't remember. I have my notes somewhere. It's some, you know, whatever type of name, but it actually means hunter. And so I wanted a weird name that had like a purposeful, you know, meaning to it. So sometimes I dig a little deeper like that, and sometimes it's just Mr. Anderson.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with Serafina, I dipped a little deeper because no, I just got lucky. But it was Serafina, and the highest level of angel is Seraphim, so it kind of was a play on her words because she's more powerful than other angels. With Draven, I approved of it because it was from The Crow. So I approved of Draven. I don't know if that's why she picked it, but it is both our favorite you know, comic and movie, whatever. Seth was literally what's a bad boy's name? It was Seth. Yes, yeah. Davies was actually a character from an older RP. That's where that name came from. Who else did we name? Lucas, I have no idea. I don't know where I pulled that out of. I was just like Lucas. Like I don't know. Who
I had a hard time naming too, but I liked mine all to have extra meaning. You know what I mean?
Where'd you get Jude?
You know, when I wrote the script, I had finished the script and he was still called Hero because I had not named him.
Nice.
I had to go back and change Hero like 65,000 times when I finally named him.
Nice.
But from music. So it was a couple things like hearing the Beatles song Hey Jude.
Yeah.
That one. And then of course, we have some biblical references in the book, like the Book of Revelation, the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, the Pale Rider, and like Saint Jude happens to be the patron saint of lost causes. So it works.
He's the only one I pray to because everything I do is a lost cause. So,
but that's Jude St. Clair in a nutshell. Like he's on some quest that who knows if he's ever going to solve it. He's Don Quixote. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I was like, this is Jude. So
that's actually perfect. Yeah, I actually like that a lot. I did not know that about I knew about the
saint. They all have like Dwayne Fink. Fink is someone that tells you something from jail, like they rat you out.
Oh yeah.
And where did we last leave Dwayne Fink? In a jail cell, about to tell Jude everything.
So clever. I like it. What about you, Aaron?
I pretty much just combined idea, like Noct, my character Noct, who's a Halloween barbarian. Noct is just the first 4 letters of nocturnal.
Nice.
So I still one of my guys is named Demas in another book. I took the last letters of Nicodemus because I like
Ooh,
the
Nicodemus.
Secret of Nim.
The Secret of Nim, yeah.
Secret of Nim.
So
I was
I
like,
just-
is it
I
the
just-
Secret of Nim, Nicodemus, or is it the isn't there like a psychic or someone named
There is
Nicodemus?
There's a guy
somebody.
who's foretold the future named
But
Nicodemus.
Yeah.
the rat is cooler, so it's from the rat.
Yeah, that's why I got that one.
The rat
from.
is cooler.
Yeah.
A lot of my
Yes, I know.
names, like I combine like this is my kid's book, so I can read you some of the names because I'll do like these little monkey things or like they swing and stuff, and so
Nice.
they're octopuses. So I took swingy and monkeys, cut them in half, and they're called Swinkies.
That's funny.
I like
So these guys like stomp, so I called them romper stompers. Yeah. So oogles use oogly,
Hi,
budoppers.
Kevin.
Yeah, so bud hopper. So I just combine stuff, especially to give an idea. And it's fun to put those names in kids' book because now people come up, how do you say it? I'm like, I don't know. It's like, do you put a pronunciation? I'm like, no, you just figure it out on your own. So
You say it
yeah.
however you want to say it. It's that
Yeah.
kind of a book.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
reading
I-
high fantasy, and you're like, I don't know how you pronounce this. There's an A, an O, and a Q next to
I'm
each other.
dyslexic. I
Yeah.
barely know how to do my own name. I did get asked a couple of times how to come up with worthy
I'm
cast.
dying.
And worthy cast, I'll tell you something I didn't tell anyone else. So when we wrote this, it was it was a role play. So we didn't have names. And I
Right.
think I randomly called it Fate. I can't even say it, so I'm glad I didn't use it. Fated Chaos. And then I realized after we were gonna try to do something with it, everything is called Fated Chaos.
Hated
And
chaos, really?
Yeah.
yeah, everything. Like
I
look
should
it up.
Google
There's
that.
like 20 different things. There's already a comic book. There's a novel series.
Oh,
So yeah, and
Oh.
it's fine because I can't say fated anyway. So I racked my brain what to come up with, and I was like, well, Draven always said everywhere he would always say that she's worth it.
have
don't
you
think-
seen these books?
What?
Fated Chaos.
Yeah, no, yeah, I have. Well,
Oh,
I
nice.
didn't read them, but I kind of want to read them anyway. So I couldn't think of anything that I could think of, and for some reason, because Draven always says that she's worth it, I was like, what can I do with that? Can I do anything with that? And I was like, well, can't say it's worth it. And then I was like, but I love the word chaos. It has to have chaos, and I don't care if it's so
Yeah.
cliche. It's gotta have chaos in it. So then I was like, oh, I could just call it Worthy Chaos, and Jessica loved it right away, and I wasn't sure I loved it right away. I was kind of like, it sounds cool, but it kind of like grew on me like the more I said it. So I'm like, okay, yeah, actually, I do like it. And here's
Oh boy.
who has bail
Tom
money?
Tom needs bail money?
Tom always needs bail money.
Starting rumors. Just kidding. Love you, Tom.
So yeah, so that's how I came up with Worthy Cast. Redemption, I have no idea, but it was the dumbest title I've ever come up with in my entire existence. I hate it. I don't hate it. I hate how everyone has it. Like if you search Redemption on Kickstarter, there's like 700 titles that come up.
Well,
which
that's
is-
like all I ever hear anymore is like titles with blood and demon, and just like there's like 8,000 blood demon,
Demon.
fire
yeah,
Blood,
death
demon, fire,
things.
death.
I'm like, let's expand. And I
yeah.
understand sometimes it's relevant to the story. I get it, but let's think outside the box for a title.
Well, there was what was that? There was these two movies from Indonesia that were really good, and I can't remember what they were called in Indonesia, but they brought it to America and took the title out of Redemption. I'm like, why? Like, why
That-
would why
The
would
raid?
you?
Was it
Yeah,
the raid?
the raid. Yeah, it was the raid.
The first
And-
raid, and then there was a second raid, Redemption. Yeah.
Yeah, well, actually the second raid is just called the Raid 2. When they
Oh,
brought
it
the
is the
raid
Raid
to
2.
America,
What's the
they added the
Redemption
word
one?
redemption underneath. It was called Raid
The first
Redemption.
one?
I
The first one?
was like, yeah, that's what I remember, and I was like, why would you add that?
I should have gotten a hint
Translate, lost in translation.
Yeah,
when-
that's what I was thinking.
when Charter was like, oh, we already have a Redemption. That should have been a hint before I even start. I was like on issue 3. That would have saved me a ton of money of saving reprinting and paying Lori to go
Yeah.
through and redo all the damn titles. But no, I wasn't that. Apparently, I'm not that quick. It took me a year and 2 months to figure out maybe I should just go with. And I got asked all the time on podcasts, is it Worthy Chaos or Redemption? I was like, it's Worthy Chaos Redemption. Worthy Chaos is the series. Redemption is the arc. So I should have named it Worthy Chaos. So now it's fucking Worthy Chaos because if anyone wants to search for it, I always say search Worthy Chaos.
Yeah.
Hindsight is always 2020.
Oh,
If for some reason I disappear, it's supposed to thunderstorm really bad, and there's tornado watch right now.
Oh, you know, I've tried. I pulled that
Black-
card too. Don't. Well,
I've
whatever.
gone
You,
past-
you can leave, thunderstorm.
I
Sure.
mean,
Yeah.
Don't
see how it is.
care for my well-being or anything.
Yeah, sure. Better show it when you come. When did you come up
They'll
with
just be like this whoosh, like your house will stay there, but you'll just kind of fly
Yeah.
out the side.
Oh no! It is a green screen, so that
Yeah.
would be funny.
Yeah.
Because, and then the green
Digital
screen
piano
dies,
just
and there's nothing
goes away.
left.
I don't even know where I came up with. I don't know where I came up with Redemption or why. It had to have been for the comic because I didn't have any titles for anything. I had titles per novel we wrote. We have 13 novels, and each one has its own name. But Redemption, I have no idea. But because we named it Redemption, we went on this weird kick where everything had to have the shin at the end. So the next one, Salvation. The one before is Desolation, and series 3 is Damnation. But
Series
now
4 is condensation.
well, I need a fourth one. It must have been right before the comic book. Or for the comic book. I thought it was a cool name. I knew nothing when I started. I don't know much more now. It's been a year and 2 months. But
So
I know
you were naming the book like a book series.
yeah.
Like-
So like Redemption, Worthy Chaos Redemption is 5 books, and then Salvation is 4 books, and Salvation is now 5 books again. Yeah, it's 5. I just started the 15th book, and Desolation is technically only 1 book right now, but I'm probably going to expand that.
Is there cremation?
Yeah, actually, that's not a bad one because series 4 is the entire war between heaven, hell, Anubis and the mummies and the Egyptians, and Hecate and Hades and the zombies. So it's going to decimate. Well, now it's going to be something, like that, but it's going to completely destroy the world. And then they have to close all these rifts and stuff. So it'll have to be something really, really bad. The reason why the prequel is called Desolation is because it's the most depressing book I could have ever come up with.
Wasn't there like a SNL skit where someone said was it Opera Man?
What is it? I don't know. The only SNL one
SNL Opera Man.
I don't know. I only know Grouchy. Did you ever see the Grouchy one? That's a totally different subject. But did you ever see when Hopper from, I don't know what his name is, from Stranger Things?
Yeah.
He did Sesame Street. Oh, it's so fucking funny. You got to look it up. Have you seen it, Tom?
Yeah.
It's the guy that plays Hopper on Stranger Things.
Hopper.
Yeah, he did it's supposed to be the he's saying Adam Sandler, the Opera Man.
Adam Sandler, Opera Man. He's like,
oh, you're right. I know. You're right. Yeah. Anyway,
constipation.
It's supposed to be the Joker, the one with Phoenix, the Joker.
The new one, the movie. The
movie. Yeah, it's supposed to be that, but it's with it's with about Grouchy from Sesame Street. It's hysterical. You got to look it up. It's just my husband makes me replay it like every month or so. But it's super funny. But they have like all the characters as live people. So there's like, I don't even know who she is because I think it was after my time of Sesame Street. But there's one of the characters is a hooker, so it's one of the girl, and like the count is a druggie, and he's counting pills. He's like 1 pill, and he's like,
there was a comic I read. What was that? Somebody gave me. It was like 50. It was about Muppets or whatever in the future. Apparently, there were these Muppet creatures, and there's 4 issues of them trying to they were repressed, and they were like a rebel gang trying to defeat like these sort of Republican nations. And I went through the whole story, and at the end of the story, I had the same question after the beginning. Why are there living Muppets among humans? How did this happen? What is going on? And they never explain it.
You talk about the movie that they were like detectives doing a murder thing?
No, this is a comic book that was done by Dark Horse. I met the guy. I mean, it was just it was the same thing when I read Why the Last Man. I mean, I know that's supposed to be really good, but I got 3 books into it. I'm like, they've never quite explained why people want to kill the last man on Earth to condemn the human race to extinction. Like they never brought that up, and I'm like, okay,
because it was better without him.
I guess, yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I thought. I'm like, okay, so
how do you feel, Grouchy? It's so freaking
Like
funny.
a prequel of how he became the Grouch.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
funny.
So just like the Joker, I guess the Joker's supposed to, I never saw it, but it's supposed to be a prequel. Of
yeah,
he
it's
became
how
the
he got
Joker.
messed
Yeah.
up.
So
he doesn't live in a garbage can anymore, does he?
he
I think
he
didn't
lives
they
in-
take
no,
that
not-
out?
I think they took that out, but that in that he yeah. Did
He
they
lives
take
in a
that out?
recycle bin because now he's environmentally conscious or something. I don't know.
Yeah, if everyone calls you trash and everyone treats you like trash, then why don't you just become trash? And then they like sing this song in like the most like evilest way you could possibly do it.
No.
But I just love Bert and Ernie. He's trying to protect his rubber ducky against a mugger, and they like stab him while he's trying to protect it, and like Bert's like, no, it's so freaking funny. That sound very horrible that I said that was funny, but it was funny how
well, it's supposed to be, yeah.
Yeah. Who else was? Oh, the Cookie Monster. I think he was homeless and he wanted cookies. Big Bird was like, no, what was Big Bird? They were all like horrible things.
Yeah. Well, now the Cookie Monster doesn't eat cookies anymore. I think he eats vegetables or something.
What?
I don't.
Yeah, like there was a lot of stuff they changed.
I think they walked that back because there was too much outrage.
I mean, it's come on.
Did they put it back? Because that's really, really sick.
I think they walked it back. Like, but
because they didn't want you to be fat from eating cookies. I'll tell you, I just watched Beetlejuice again, and I had just realized that this movie should have been heavily pushed towards anti-suicide, because like, who wants to be civil servant in their afterlife? You know, this movie was totally anti-suicidal, so it was really crazy.
What movie was this?
The Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
The new one?
Beetlejuice?
Oh no, the old
the original Beetlejuice. Yeah.
Yeah, the original Beetlejuice. And if you commit suicide, you become a servant.
They put you to work.
Yeah. So it was like, I've seen this movie 100 times, but for some reason my husband saw it for like the first time. So like I of course had to be I'm watching it more like with different eyes because it's like his first time. And I was just like, when it got to the part with the flat guy, you know, that got ran over, he must have jumped in front of a bus. I was just like, this is a very anti-suicide movie that no one's ever pointed out ever that it's anti-suicide. But yeah.
There were two versions of hell that somebody described. One was oh God, he did these books on hell. He's a painter. Wayne Barlow. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Wayne Barlow. He's a concept artist. It's been around for years. He did a book. In fact, my that children's book, the one I have about this alien wildlife photographer, is based on a book he did called Expedition. And his parents were naturalist painters, and he'd paint aliens. But he decided to paint one on hell. And the way he did the book, they called it Inferno, and I think there's two other books, is that he visited hell. Like, so he would have like these paintings of demons that were supposed to be posing for him. But the greatest like torture in hell is that when you die, they turn you into a brick. You're fully conscious.
What?
A brick.
A brick?
Yes, like you're a brick in a house.
Or just a random brick?
Just a random brick. You're in a house. You're conscious. You're there for eternity. You can't do anything.
Huh. Okay.
And I was like, that is just torture beyond torture.
Well, yeah, that's pretty bad. I just watched, I can't think of his name. That's all horrible because I've seen like 1,000 of his videos. Yeah. But there's this guy that does like shorts, and he does like, what happens to you if you become immortal? Which I used to be terrified of death. It was like a huge phobia thing for me. So I always wanted to be immortal. So for him to do this, I was kind of like, huh. So like he went literally year by year and then by decade. And then he's like, oh, by the time you reach, what was it? You're completely depressed by 500 years because you've done everything you're supposed to do. And then he's like, but at 1,000 years, you have a new leaf on life because all the technology is advanced, and you go and share your knowledge, which to me, I'm thinking, what the F knowledge do you have? Because you're behind them. So why would you have knowledge? But whatever. So, and then it was like, by 1 billion years, the planet starts to decompose or whatever. And then at like a certain amount of billion years, you've been in space with like just roaming through space and dark. And then it was like at 1 trillion years, the universe starts to implode. I'm just like, Kim, you just depressed the hell out of me. Like it was like awful.
Like at some point, doesn't the sun go supernova?
Yeah, that was
the whole planet. Like you being immortal, do you survive that?
Yeah, well, no, in this story you did. Yeah. Yeah.
So the one sun actually went supernova in his story.
Yeah, it went supernova, and then you're in the blackness of space for like all eternity. And then that you just contemplate life for like the rest of whatever. And I was like, wow, this is the most depressing shit ever. So
like float around and look for a ride, like hitchhike with an alien.
Yeah.
Well, see, he did that. He did that at like a billion. No, he did that at like half a billion a year or something. That the 500 million, whatever. But he would visit planets and he would share technology with them. But then all the planets start, because when the sun went out, it started this supernova thing or whatever you call it, and it was just all the planets started to decompose, blow up or whatever, and he's still there in complete. And that was literally my phobia. My phobia was everything just turns black and you're stuck in this world of black.
One I saw.
So he just completely. Did you find it?
Oh no, I never found this story. So if anyone out there in internet land listening knows this, years ago I saw.
We're already looking for big sharks, so this is gonna have to be on top of finding big sharks. But
big sharks. If you can do this, there was an episode with this guy. They did a horror story based on like Groundhog's Day, the movie with repeating time.
This is the same guy. Is this a short on YouTube?
It's a short that I saw like HBO or something years ago.
Oh, nope, different guy.
And it was like, I mean, this must have been in the early 90s or late 80s.
Oh, no.
And he was standing at this guy going to work, standing at a bus stop, and then he goes to work, and then they show the clock, and it reaches an hour, and he's back at the bus stop.
Oh, only an hour?
Yeah, and so he's like, okay, that's weird. So he starts going every hour. He goes back to the bus stop, and he finally reads this newspaper that these scientists in this one little section are predicting some sort of weird time anomaly. They don't know what it is or whatever. And the 1 hour he's able to track these scientists down, tell them like whatever you were planning or discovered is happening to me. You've got to help me get out of this hour. I can't. And they we don't know what it is. We don't even know we don't know. And the show just ends with him on the bus stop in that hour forever. And I'm just like, that is horror beyond horror. I mean, because they start to think, well, how far could you get in 1 hour? Like, how far could you get away from that one spot in 1 hour?
That's awful. Like, this guy did one, but it was every day. It was literally Groundhog's Day. So every time he died, it restarted.
Yeah.
And at one point, he drove as far as he was allowed to leave town. It was just that every time he falls asleep or wakes up. So he tried to see how far he can get. I think he drove like 1,500 miles before he restart. And he kept doing different stuff, and he started getting depressed. And then he's like, oh, I feel so alone. And it lasted an entire year. And then they almost to the year, they discovered how to fix it, but it didn't work. They said they had to fix it. But then in 1 year, it completely it stopped. And he's just like, I just woke up 1 year. But this guy doesn't, I mean, I don't even know where he pulls this out of, because halfway through his thing, I was like, I don't know if I'd be depressed at 500. You got to give me at least like 1,000 years before so much Netflix to watch. Actually, that was one of the things. It was like, I think it was 10 years straight of Netflix. That was like a whole decade of he just watched everything on Netflix. So, yeah. So
it was weird. It was 1 hour. And I think it must have been an Outer Limits episode. So I can't remember what it was.
What can you do in an hour? Okay, his name is Adrian Deck. I could have really ruined that one.
Because I've tried to find this video, I've tried to find references to this, anything, and I cannot find
I don't know
what episode. So I've tried, because I you watch something late at night and you start to remember, like, did I watch that? And it must have been.
1 hour is pretty tough. I mean,
1 hour. I mean, a whole day. Yeah, okay, but like 1 hour.
Yeah, like how did he even convince the people in 1 hour that he even had a problem? Like this guy.
Yeah, go ahead.
He's lucky he even found them in 1 hour.
Yeah,
that was kind of how did he do that? Yeah, dude, I could barely take a shower in an hour. Like I don't know how this guy did so much in an hour.
We tried to kill himself and all that, and just kept popping back every hour to the bus stop. And I'm just
he never got out of it.
He never got out. It just ends with him standing on the bus stop, just looking completely dejected. What do you do?
Welcome to our depressing episode.
Yeah, I know. It's like
awful in your life.
Well, because me and my friend would have arguments. Well, not arguments, a discussion. Like, what is scarier? Like, what is horror? Like, is horror like a scary monster? Like, what would be scary? Like a big hairy monster, like a werewolf, or like this like little child you see out in the corner, but she's totally normal except she has like no mouth.
I think my horror is this 1 hour shit because I really
Yeah,
don't know
just
what
like
I'm doing
that.
with
Like
6
it's
hours.
sometimes people draw monsters, but you're
Why
thinking
am
like,
I
what
gonna
would be
get through
Fortress?
one topic in 1
Yeah.
hour? Like we when we're talking, we could talk. My husband's like, it's been like 3 hours. I was like, yeah, we're
Yeah.
not done yet. Yeah.
So
We just changed topics.
We'd get through the weather in 1 hour and be like, shit, we start to do it again. Yeah, that's pretty harsh. That's one of the, what is it, 7 layers of hell? That would be,
yeah,
that guy's really in hell. He's in some kind of loop.
yeah,
It's,
he can never get out.
Did you ever
He's
watch
Sisyphus.
Lucifer? He had that.
He's
Lucifer
Sisyphus.
had
He's
that
just
cycle.
stuck.
Yeah,
Yeah, but like that's worse than the immortal thing. At least he could like go do shit. You can't
Yeah,
even watch.
he
You
can.
can watch like by the time you find the Netflix show you want to watch, it's like your hour's up. It's like
yeah, yeah. It's
You
crazy.
never get to the end. No, I need to know.
yeah.
You'll
Oh,
never find out. If it's like the
That's
movie's
right.
an hour and a half and you start it, you'll never see the end unless you get you fast
you
forward
have
it.
to
Oh, you can fast forward it.
Yeah, but some live streams have the worst fast forward ever.
Yeah.
Like you can't see what it is. You just have to remember the time. I think
Right.
Tubi is like that. I think I think that's the one you can't see. Speaking of Tubi, did you watch Tom? Did you watch Plushy Shark or whatever the fuck it's called?
No.
Can't even
No,
do
not yet.
one homework assignment.
No.
You know,
I watched Jaws 3
You're
again.
giving Tom homework?
yeah, he was supposed to watch Doll Shark because you got to watch that too, Lori. Doll Shark. It's on Tubi for free because
don't-
it's funny, sort of. I don't know if it's supposed to be funny, but it's funny.
Oh, I'm sure it's
know
supposed
me,
to be
right?
funny. It's legitimately funny.
What happened?
Yeah, I
Lori?
watched Jaws 3 the other day, and then
That's
the
what
day
shark
after,
does, right?
Lou Gossett Jr. passed. So that was
Yeah,
a
I know. I heard
Aw.
that.
So
That
I
was
was like,
sad.
oh no, I don't know if I should watch another movie. Somebody
Yeah,
might
stop watching
know,
movies.
that could be my hell right there. Is I'm going to watch a movie and knock somebody off.
Well,
Yeah.
How many jars are
Oh,
there?
and speaking of that, so how fucked up is this? Last night, I woke up in the middle of the night, fully aware of what I have just dreamt of, and it was Freddy Krueger. And
Really?
how do you wake up knowing you just had Freddy in your dreams and decide you're going to go back to bed?
You're like,
Like-
well, I'm awake
like-
forever now.
I
Well-
guess I'm just going to be awake today.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really bizarre too, because I have never had a dream like that before. I've watched those monster things my whole life. I hadn't even watched Freddy recently. Like this wasn't like
Did you
like
watch my
Facebook was
Easter egg
listening
thing?
to
Did
me
that do
talk
it?
about things. It was just like I'm just going to dream about Freddy tonight for some
Did
reason.
you watch my Easter egg thing? Because that had Freddy. Maybe that did it.
No.
I don't think
He had
anyone
no
watched-
reason to be there. They had no
That's
reason
really
to be there.
weird. I will tell you that I watched Pitch Meeting for, maybe you just went into my head. I watched Pitch Meeting for Nightmare on Elm Street, and the favorite thing he came up with that I hadn't even thought of was, I guess Nancy burns herself to wake up. Like that's how she wakes up. And the guy's like, so when they're getting carved up, they don't wake up. And he's like, hey, shut up. Because I was like, so I never thought of that. That how come they wake up when they hurt themselves, but when he hurts them, they don't wake up.
Well, I mean, that's the easy answer is when you do it. If you do it to yourself, it's a mental brain thing. You're doing it. If someone's just doing
We'll
it
go
to
with
you,
that.
you know what I mean? If someone's just doing it to you, then it might not wake you up. I mean, they are screaming and kicking and hollering. They know it's going on.
Yeah.
Because we see them when they're, flopping around on the roof and getting cut up and stuff.
I am.
But,
What was mine? I had a reasoning. Oh, my reasoning. Okay, so that would be a big spoiler. I guess I can't say. We explained the death thing in ours, where it was, if something else kills you, you were already fighting it, so your brain already accepts that you died because you're already fighting it you were fighting it as hard as you could to survive. But if you do it to yourself, then your brain will fight back and wake you up. That was our
exactly. Yeah,
our reasoning
exactly.
in ours. So
Yes.
we'll go with that.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
I'll
Debunked.
yeah.
It's funny. I know I'm gonna age myself yet again. Have you guys ever heard of a movie called Brainstorm?
Yeah, but I've never seen it. I know
Never
it's an old
seen
80s thing.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Oh, it's 80s. I was like, I've watched things from the 80s.
They developed this technology. It has a Christopher Walken in it, and they built the
Oh,
technology.
it's a winner already.
It is.
Yeah.
And they record this. They had this device that record memories or experiences. So they start out with one that they like at this board meeting. This guy puts on his helmet, and all of a sudden he's experiencing going down a roller coaster or whatever.
Mm.
And it's like, oh wow, this technology is amazing. And halfway through the movie, one of the scientists working on it dies from a heart attack, and she puts the helmet on and records herself dying.
Oh shit.
And what was interesting, they find her dead, they didn't know what's going on. And one of the scientists, like, well, put on the helmet. Maybe she did something. He starts dying too, because the body's tricked into it's dying. But at the very end, they eventually do, like, Christopher Walken gets the helmet and puts it on, experiences what she experiences. And you can go online and just look up the ending scene. But the ending scene of the death, the way they did the sort of passing over the afterlife was so cool. It was my favorite way they did it. It's very abstract. I know it's called Brainstorm. Just say Brainstorm ending, Christopher Walken. But the scene, even though it's an old 80s movies, is still like one of the coolest scenes about just the afterlife and what happened. But it was such a cool concept because it's like, well, what if you could experience the concept of dying and survive it? Like you come out of it knowing what's going to happen, but you've experienced it.
Apparently, according to whatever the hell I watched, but they said you can't die in a dream because your brain doesn't know what it's like to die, so it wakes you up. So
yeah, I've heard that. Like if you almost hit the ground, it wakes you up, something like that.
It doesn't know how to function with that. I've never dreamed come close. One time I dreamed of falling, and then I must have been standing. I mean, I was like 7, but I must have been standing in my bed because as soon as I woke up from the falling, like you said, about to hit something, I hit the bed. So I was either sitting up or standing up, but I hit the bed awake. So yeah, I don't know what the hell it was. So
yeah.
Well, yeah, supposedly you can't dream if people are in your dream, they are people you know or have seen, because it can't create something that it doesn't know.
It's weird because
like fictional too. Like it could be
fictional too. Yeah, exactly. So you can see Han Solo or whatever, right? Yeah, absolutely. You have to have known a person or seen a person, in some capacity. I used to have a recurring nightmare of the Bigfoot from $6 Million Man in the TV show back in the 70s. That would hit me all the time. That was really screwed up. So
that was I would have dreams about meeting complete strangers, having conversations with them in my dream. I wake up and like I don't know that person, but like you said, I must have seen them or met them, and my brain just took the image of maybe some secretary I met making an appointment, and then just turned it into whatever. Yeah. That would, because I've woken up and who was I'm like I have no idea who that was.
Yeah, and again, that's just what I read. I mean, who knows? Yeah. But it was. I thought that was a really interesting thing. And because when you start to think about like your recurring dreams and stuff that you've had over the years, it's like, yeah, it's always something that I understand. It's like movies scare us, right? So we have Freddy Krueger nightmares, things like that. So yeah,
it's weird because
I mean, wounded in my dreams. I don't know if I remember ever dying.
I don't remember ever being wounded that I can
really
think of.
Well, I fight a lot in my dreams.
I would create it, like I would create my characters getting hurt, but in an unconscious dream, I've never that I can think of got hurt.
I had a dream just the other day that I got stabbed in the throat.
And did it
woke me up?
Did you experience actual stabbing? Or did you wake up before?
No, it was stuck in. I was holding on to the knife.
Because most of the time you wake up before the actual act itself happens.
No, because then I had to kill the person that stabbed me.
So I wasn't done yet.
I did. I killed them. And then I died, I'm sure.
I used to, when I ran a comic shop way back in the day, we did magic tournaments and stuff all the time. So we were heavy into magic all the time. There was a point where I would have dreams of building decks in my head. I would wake up thinking about these cards, put these with these cards. It was a problem. It was funny. It was a heavy problem. And I don't know how I don't know how I ever kicked it, but it was happening all the time.
All I know is I wake up, I only get 5 hours of sleep and then I'm done. So I don't know what wakes me up. I did, however, here's an exclusive. I slept for 7 hours the other day for like the first time in like 4 years.
Wow.
So, yeah. I was like, what the hell? Like that. So I went to bed at 11. It was 8 hours because I went to bed at 11 and then I woke up at, no, my math skills are off at 7. I woke up at 6. So that is 7 hours. So I had 7 hours, but I hadn't slept that long since like 4 years ago when I had Christmas off. Oh, I didn't say hi to John. Hi, John.
I said hi to John. Don't worry.
Why aren't you special? I saw it.
I am special.
Magic the Gathering. I have never played that game, which is weird because that would have been right up my alley. And all the nerds around me played it. But for some reason, I did not want to learn the rules. Why what?
Why didn't you learn how to play it?
I didn't want to learn the rules. I was being lazy. I have no idea.
I tried to play one guy. I played one guy, and I just know I irritated him because I kept saying, "Does this kill you? Does this kill you?" And he's like, "No." And I'm like, and I know I tortured the poor guy. I'm like, I don't know. He's trying to explain to me, and there was a few that looked cool, but they were. I mean, there's such an upfront investment to get into it sometimes.
Yeah.
And I was just like, do I have the money to invest in this? I'm like, when I got like your video game habit, you have to sometimes let some habits go. That was when I let go.
So. I don't have that ability to be like, can I afford this? If I did, I would not be on issue 15 of my comic. So yeah. I don't have that skill of, can I afford this? Because the answer is usually no. But yeah, I have this, yeah, it's a gift and a curse that I don't really care. I've been in debt like so many times and I always pull myself out. So I just figure it'll eventually work itself out. Like the first time I moved, I bought a house while I lived in Connecticut. I bought a house in Tennessee without even having a job in Tennessee because I knew that my job was getting laid off. So I had 2 mortgages. Then we moved to Tennessee without a job and I was paying the 2 mortgages. And it took us a year to sell the other townhouse, or 6 months, because she sucked at selling houses and we weren't there. But that put us into debt, like, I don't know, 30 something grand. And then I paid it off. And then I was like, hey, we're paid off. I want to start a grooming business. so $60,000 later, I started my own grooming business. And then got us out of that debt. Took me a couple of years. And like right after I got out of debt, I was like, hey, let's do a comic book. So
start again.
Again. So I hope it's not reversed 3 times the charm, because it worked out 2 other times. So this could either be great or suck. But yeah.
We'll see. But now you've got it where it's paying for itself. Yeah.
It's paying for itself. But it's my artist is too fast. So like it paid for itself, but we're on issue 15. So I don't.
But now you you get money for number 9 and you transplant that money to issue 16, and you do number 10 and you transplant it to 17 and so on and so on. So yeah, you have a big gap that you have to kind of build up. But now that it's paying for itself, there's no more hole to go into.
The hole, I am digging myself out of it.
There's still a hole because her artist will finish a whole issue before she can Kickstarter again.
Yeah. But I still have the 9,000 debt from the first 2 artists. So I'm paying off the current issues, but I haven't yet been able to pull off the 9 grand. But eventually.
Hi, Carlos.
Thank you.
Yeah, I understand.
It's a non-show, but thank you. But
come for the non-show, stay for the tornado. It'll be good.
Yeah. You didn't say tornado, you said thunderstorm. Is it a tornado?
No, I said tornado watch. It's blackout right now.
All I heard was I saw lightning. That's all I heard.
No, I'm looking out the window. It was green a little bit ago, but
I was like, your window looks fine. But that's the green screen. It's awfully bright in your green screen.
Yeah. Remember, green screen. Lori's gonna into space. Green screen will be still here. The piano will be lovely. The house will be gone.
Yeah, that would not be good. We actually had a tornado warning like a couple months ago at like 4 a.m, and it said the tornado is a mile from your address, so go into the basement. And I was like, oh, my husband's sleeping. Like I was like, we didn't get up. I didn't wake him up. I was just like, well, we'll figure it out. But because if I had woke him up, he would have grabbed all 5 animals and like, I mean, he wanted to grab all 5 of well, I guess it's 6 of us if you count me. Grab all 6 of us when there was hail outside. I was like, hail doesn't do anything. Like, what is it gonna do? Like, it's like it was like June. Like, I'm like, what is your June in the South? We had hail for some reason. I was like, I think we're safe. You know, it's not going to. They're like the size of peas. I think we'll survive. But he wanted us all to get into the basement.
Peas.
I was like, no, they were like peas. They were.
You didn't see the hail that we got last time?
No, I did not.
Balls.
I got stuck. So when I was driving to Tennessee from Connecticut, I used to come like 3 times. I was gonna say a month. That would not be accurate. 3 times a year to visit a friend who, by the way, I wasn't friends with after I moved here. But I used to come 3 times a month, 3 times a year. And I'm glad none of my family has mentioned that, because I never go there to visit them ever. Like, I have not been back in like the 10 years I've been here. So anyway, on the way here, there was hail. It was like the size of baseballs or you know, a little less than that.
Baseball.
Like, yeah, like huge. And I thought it was going to break the window and you
Yeah.
couldn't see where you were driving. So my father, who's a genius, is just like, just keep driving. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
no. So he's like, well,
Find
drive. till you
shelter.
get-" What?
I said find shelter.
Yeah. Well, that's what he wants. He goes, drive to a bridge, but the bridges were all cut. You know, everyone was already in them. So I actually, and of course, it's like the furthest way from exit. So I finally get off the exit and I go to a gas station, and there's like another couple there, this girl and her whatever. So we waited there. I actually paid for them to go to a hotel because they lived in like a car. So I was like, all right, that's not good. But yeah, I stayed there for like an hour. But I was so terrified that it was going to break through the window. And I was like, what do I do? It breaks through the window. Like, what are you going to do? So that was terrifying. that was like a sword. It was like a sword. It's just like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just unless you want me to sneeze in the microphone, which I don't think you want me to do.
nice.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
That completely silenced it. That was pretty good. Hi.
Hi, Ray. How are you?
And did someone say
Yeah,
Magic
we were
the Gathering?
talking about Magic the Gathering.
Yes.
I sold
yeah.
all. No, I gave my cards to my brother at some point.
I have a friend who still plays. He gets back into it. He says he quits and he goes back into it, and he says he quits and he goes back.
Yeah,
into it.
I have friends that play tournaments, win a bunch of cards, and then same thing. Like they're in it for a while and they're like, God, I hate this, and they quit, and then they do another tournament. It's like, at this point, why?
It's been going. I think it started in the early '90s. Get Magic together. I remember when it first started coming out. Yeah.
I would think so.
Did I
Dang,
miss
I
it?
missed it.
Rewind.
I didn't know there was such a big following for Magic the Gathering still.
I don't think we
Tell us
said
old.
anything.
We're old.
We didn't say anything too interesting. We just
No,
said
it wasn't.
that- yeah, it wasn't too interesting. I said I
Magic
never
has gotten
played it.
weird because they're like doing licensing now. There's like Godzilla cards
Yeah.
in Magic and
Yeah.
Transformers and
Gathering.
like
Yeah.
really strange.
Well, they had
what
the
are we
Lord of the
doing
Rings one.
things.
And apparently, I think
There's
the
Lord of
one
the Rings.
ring, there was like one card that was the one ring. I guess they only made one card, right?
Yeah, and then Post
Well,
Malone.
yeah,
bought
they
it.
made a bunch of versions of it in a sort of a general sense, but then there
Yeah,
was
but
like
there
one
was,
holofoil or something. Yeah.
That
And
was
then
okay.
Post Malone paid like $6 million for
Yeah.
it. Bought it from somebody, made him a millionaire.
I like
there's
that.
a Disney set too, isn't there? There's like a Disney Lorcana, I want to say.
They used to. I thought, what was it? My friend showed me once that people can print their own Magic cards,
Print their
so
own Magic
you
cards.
can put your own picture, make up your own.
Lori,
I
you have
guess.
something.
They're not
like
official,
that,
but I
right?
mean, there's a template you
What?
can make up stuff.
Don't you
I
have
mean,
I used to make custom
Poker
Magic
cards.
cards and sell them on
Yeah.
eBay. Like
Yeah,
I
you
just
can do
I'm
that.
good at
Okay.
Photoshop, so I just was
Yeah.
photoshopping out all the text, and I just had blank cards, and I would
Right.
do just crazy crap. I'd be like, I'm going to put Britney Spears in this Magic card,
That's
and
hilarious.
yeah,
Let's
and
do
people
that.
would gobble them up. Here, I'll
do
bring
that.
one up, and I'll show it to you.
Please do.
Yeah.
Please tell me you did a new one with Britney dancing with her knife.
I haven't done these in like a decade, so this is all old stuff.
I mean, no, Ray, we're not going to leave Britney alone. We need her knife dancing on a card.
Leave Britney
And then you can
alone.
roll, or you can pay tokens to like increase her insanity.
Yeah, I like that.
Saying.
What do you have?
yourself.
Lori, you have
Really?
something that has like your doesn't it? You have a card with your picture and it has like your weakness on it or something.
Oh,
Your
that's my
business
business
card?
card.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like the old school X-Men trading cards.
Mhm.
Where it has my picture. I'm actually dressed up as Baroness from G.I. Joe. And then on the back it has strength. So like writing and baking and knife fighting and
I like that.
That's good. I have the only that I sold. I used to collect cards in the '90s, and I sold them all except I still have the original X-Men set by Jim Lee, and I got all 5 of the holofoil signed by Jim Lee. So I still have those things. Yeah.
Tom, you need to make a deck of just Britney Spears.
Oh, I have that.
of all Britney Spears cards.
Yeah, I made a lot of these.
Okay, that's awesome.
Here, hold on, I'll show you one right here.
Yeah, we have to see these now.
We need a picture. We need to.
Yeah, it's coming. I got to share it with her here.
Britney versus who? Other insane people. Could we do a Michael Jackson set? Ooh,
there you go.
he like.
So this one was an easy one to do.
All permanents in play become 1/1 creatures with snaked.
Mother Nature could be a real bitch. That's awesome.
Yeah, because they were actual like cards. In that, wouldn't they just actual regular playing card? You just change the picture.
Well, this I just photoshopped all this stuff. I had real cards that I scanned high res, and I went in and photoshopped out all of the original text. And then I went back in and reset the text. The text isn't exactly magic text or fonts, but it's really close. And then basically I would just so I made these things, and then I would print this out on like a nice glossy paper, and I would just glue it to a regular card, so it kind of looked real but not real.
I have a laminator.
Yeah. And then but when I sold them, I was like, look, this is just for fun. This is not tournament legal. Like, this is just a collectible thing. So everybody understood that it's just a thing. And they would gobble these things up. I did tons of this stuff. I mean, just tons of it.
Yeah.
Britney's Bane. It's just a picture of Justin Timberlake.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like it. I don't know what that was.
Yeah, I forgot all about these things, man. But
that's hilarious.
It was going really well for like a long time. This was like a side project for me, a side hustle.
Yeah.
Side hustle, huh?
So yeah, I've got Christina Aguilera in here. I have Angelina Jolie. I have Anne Hathaway. I did Army of Darkness stuff.
Okay, I want to see an Army of Darkness one.
Geez Louise.
I just watched Army of Darkness in Resident Evil 4. What happened?
We need a Bruce Campbell with a chainsaw hand.
Yeah, I love Bruce Campbell. I'm hoping to get him to sign my book eventually.
I told you I went to the same high school as him, right? He was older than me though, so I wasn't there at the same time.
But... I think who's the chick with Sleepless in Seattle? Sleepless in Seattle went to my high school.
Meg Ryan?
Yeah, that one. But somebody stole the damn not with me. But when Ash comes into play, such your library is boomstick. Behold my boomstick.
Yeah, so I have boomstick as one of the cards too. So that's I made all these cards to kind of like go together. So there's the boomstick and there's the Necronomicon. So I made the three of them, and we sell them as a set like that.
Cool.
Oh, they actually did arm it. They did?
Did they?
Hold my.
Oh, I wouldn't. They have done licensed stuff now. I mean, this was back in the day when they would do stuff, but they've done licensed stuff now. I mean, not just Lord of the Rings, but other stuff as well.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
Yeah.
You guys hear that?
What?
I guess not.
What?
The thunder.
Oh.
You clacking out there?
Play. You may search. Oh, you bitch.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. That's fine. Whatever. The smart idea. Did you ever watch the alternate ending to that? That's pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the alternate ending to Army of Darkness.
Yeah, when he's in the cave and he wakes up.
He's like he skipped it by like a few decades.
You never saw it, Lori?
No.
There's an alternate ending where they give him a potion to sleep for I don't know how long it's supposed to be, but they bury his car in a cave, and then he takes his potion and he sleeps like 1,000 years instead of 100 years. And he wakes up and like the whole world's destroyed or something. Like
like the Deadites had taken over or something. Because it was like they played on the joke, but you couldn't remember.
Yeah, it wasn't better.
The words. Like he was trying to remember the N word in the graveyard, but he was supposed to take like 2 drops or 3 drops, and he couldn't figure. He's like, I don't remember, and just took a bunch, and then of course he slept 2 times.
What? There was. What did I just watch? Oh no, that's the show. Okay, the show had an ending where he was in the future because I just got confused. I was like, I know I saw him in the future.
That's the end of Ash versus Evil did. The
TV
show,
so I saw that.
Show him awake in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, in the future there was the chick with like her organs. You could see like she had fake or robot parts or something, And my thought process was they can do all that, but they can't keep her from squeaking when she walks. I was just like, what kind of technology is this? But I was just like, where the fuck did I see that? But yeah, I didn't watch the whole show.
And the show, and I think the ending to that show was an homage to the alternate ending of Army of Darkness.
It was supposed to be
because
Did they want to continue it? Like, did they think that they were going to continue it? Oh. So
no, I heard that. Can't remember if it got canceled or they decided not to, but it was just supposed to be the idea of like, no matter what time it is, he's always called back to fight the Deadites. Like he can never really escape. He's always, the warrior called back to fight the Deadites, and that was kind of the running joke. Like he's still out there fighting the good fight. And then
I want to see the comics of Ash versus Jason or whatever. Yeah. I want to see those. He should have did a show with those or movies with those because I would totally watch that. So yeah, I did watch. What else is? I just watched something where sequels are being done. So who knows? They're gonna do. They're just pulling sequels. I mean, it's been how long since Beetlejuice? And if they came out with a sequel, I did see a little bit. It's been how long? It's been 30. It must be 38, right? Because I think it's a 39 because it came out when my husband was born.
Final feature ending of the TV show was removed as final swan song for Bruce Travis Campbell.
There you go. You guys will like this one.
Nice.
Yes.
That's awesome.
We needed Spaceballs deck.
They were supposed to be Spaceballs 3, The Search for 2. And then there was supposed to be Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money. Those are the two they never did, but they should have.
It's funny. There was an old, I'd have to look this video game up. There was an old, I think it was a PlayStation 1 video game. It was like some sci-fi game where Bruce Campbell did all the voice work for the main character. And he had some funny lines. I mean, I don't remember the game wasn't very good, but you just played through it just to hear all his one-liners.
Is he an improviser? Does he improvise a lot?
I'm not sure if he does or not. And I don't know. I mean,
he does, but now I can't. I wouldn't bet on it. I remember he used to make up some lines, but he doesn't seem like as big as an improver as like other actors that I've seen.
No, I don't think so. I mean, him and Sam Raimi, childhood friends, and they did this.
Yeah.
And I think they wanted to get into it seriously, but I think Sam Raimi said he's always liked the slapstick, but there's a part of me that I think the movie, the first one, didn't turn out as scary as they thought it would be, and so they just leaned more into the comedy side of it. I think it worked, yeah.
So yeah, I don't even remember because the first movie I saw was Army of Darkness when I was younger. Yeah. I think I later on have seen 1. I don't even know if I've seen 2. So 2 is more campy than 1, but it's not as campy as 3.
1 is straight up, serious, or it tries to be.
Yeah, I saw 1.
Right, 2 moves into the campiness. By the end of it, it starts out kind of serious and there's some campy. By the end of it, Ash is kind of born. There's a monster, and she's like, "I'm gonna swallow your soul," and he shoves a shotgun in her mouth. He's like, "Swallow this." So I mean, that's like his first one-liner, and then he gets sucked into the portal. And then that goes into Army of Darkness. Number 2 is worth checking out. If you haven't seen Evil Dead 2, it's worth it.
I'll have to check it out. And I'll watch 1 again because it's been a really long time. The car is an Easter egg in my prequel. Huh, Lori?
That was the kitchen. The kitchen was funny.
Yeah.
Well, the car is an Easter egg in every Sam Raimi movie.
Oh, yeah.
In every Sam Raimi movie, yeah.
Yeah, it's
in every movie. It's in Doctor Strange. Yeah.
Well, I have a cabin in my prequel that they always go to in every life. It was built by the angels and they didn't know it and whatever. Well, Draven built it. But anyway, there's a car wrapped in the vines. That's the same car that's there. So that's my Easter egg in the prequel.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do love but yeah, I don't think I've seen any of 2. I had seen Army of Darkness first. And then I saw Evil Dead, and then I never saw Evil Dead 2. Yeah, I'll have to watch it and check it out.
Evil Dead 2 is basically the first one remade, but it had a higher budget. It was somebody came in and gave them like $6 million to remake it, and so they got to do they got to have more fun with the effects and just kind of create.
But it was more.
Does more of a more marketable, which is where a lot of the comedy stuff kind of came in. The camp kind of came in. So yeah.
But that's how he, got his hand cut off, and
Yep.
you find out how all that
Oh,
happened.
I didn't know it was a remake of one.
It is, and then it isn't. They continue the story from one, but they kind of like,
So he's still in the cabin doing the same
still
stuff.
in the cabin. But it's just him. They didn't put the other extras in the first movie, so it's almost like a sequel remake of one. Yeah.
And a lamp laughing. I might have seen that part because that sounds familiar.
That one was funny.
Yeah.
That must have been a clip I saw on like YouTube because I don't remember ever. I remember something about that.
I think the first one had the tree scene. The tree.
The deer head.
The second one had the tree. There was a tree.
Yeah, the tree, and they remade Evil Dead, and then they redid that scene again with the girl in Evil Dead, and they kind of got campy. I saw Evil Dead Rise, and it was okay. I don't think you can capture lightning in a bottle twice with that series. I don't think, because they've tried to do it. Evil Dead and Evil Dead Rise, and they're both more, I think, straight up horror. They get kind of
the Evil Dead remake is just straight horror. Well, so is Rise, but the problem with Rise was that it was like, I mean, Evil Dead the remake is again sort of a remake of the first two, but it is played straight horror, full, just kind of serious horror.
Yeah.
And then Evil Dead Rise is serious horror too, except that the problem that I had with Evil Dead Rise is that it's still, even though it's in this new scenario in the city, it's still just using the exact same tropes as the first one, just in different, sort of a different setting.
By the end of it,
every time the bridge collapses, right? So how do we collapse a bridge in this building? Well, all the stairs fall down, So it's like it just leaned so much onto what we've already seen before, even though it was a new, environment to play around in. I think if the new one, if Evil Dead Rise was in a vacuum and it's the only Evil Dead we ever had, I think it would have been like really cool. Like, holy crap, what are we doing? But because we've seen 4 movies previous, it just didn't quite have enough edge or originality to it.
Even by the end of that movie,
some of the camera shots were really funny too, though. Like when he punches her hard and she goes flying into the dark room, and I was just cracking my head off, and my husband's just like, "Why is that funny?" And I'm like, "It was hilarious." Like,
is that 2 or the remake?
That's Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah.
But they tried to make the main girl into kind of a Bruce Campbell. Like they gave her one-liners at the end of the movie, and I think that series is so tied to Bruce Campbell. Like you had to find somebody else that has the same comedic timing as Bruce Campbell with that sort of arrogance would be very hard.
I don't think that's the problem. I think the problem is the same thing that Ghostbusters has a problem with right now, is that it just doesn't figure out. It has not figured out how to be its own thing. So the new movie particularly is just like Evil Dead Rises. It just cannot step out of the mud of its past. All the jokes are the same. All the tropes are the same. It's just the same. And you have the same cast. So you didn't even allow like the new people to really shine in their roles because the old folks were still running around. Right. So I liked Afterlife overall. Like I liked it. It was clear what it was.
Yeah.
It was a finale to the original trilogy. It was an homage and a tribute to Harold Ramis. All of that was great. I didn't love the movie, but I understood what it was doing. This one, though, this new one that just came out, it's like, yo, this is just the same jokes, man.
I heard
we're just saying the same thing again.
Like they didn't know what to do with.
It's like they're afraid to tread new ground. Like giving me a new ghost is not new ground, right? Like I get it. I want a new ghost. That's great. But you got to let these characters become something. So in the context of Evil Dead, sort of the same thing. The best thing about Evil Dead Rises was the beginning, the opening scene where they're talking about the Necronomicon and the freaking, chicks hanging off the edge of the dock and stuff. It's like, whoa, we're world building here all of a sudden because they're talking about 3 Necronomicons and stuff. I'm like, oh my God, there's a story. We're going to get a story within all of this again. And then we just got the same tropes. I think if they're going to do more, I think they need to understand, give us more. You got to take us forward in the story and out of all the old tropes.
Oh, I gotta
and
go.
again, it did well. Evil Dead Rise did well. It's low budget horror, so it did well. But
Yeah.
I don't know how long you can sustain that if it's just the same again and again and again.
I think
Normally, I would say I have to go put my kids to bed, but I'll probably need to go put them in the closet. So I will see you all later.
All right,
Nice
be
meeting you.
safe.
Right. I'm gonna need it. I might end up in Oz. Bye.
Well, that's always kind of been one of my problems with Hollywood writing in general is they just develop scripts that hit nostalgic points.
Well, I don't
They-
think that's necessarily the writing. I think that's coming from above. You
Yeah,
know
it's
what I mean?
corporate.
Like there's writers that have
corporate,
creative
right.
ideas, but I think above is like, nope, we don't want that. Give us what we've already seen because we know it works. And then we
Well-
have what we talk about.
Well, I think the internet has caused such a detriment to a lot of commercial story writing because especially when it's corporate controlled, they're like, well, what sells? And it's like,
Mhm.
you know, when we keep rehashing these franchises like Aliens and Predator and all that, it's like that stuff was made in a vacuum. They were just making
Yep.
stuff they thought was cool.
Yep.
But they don't do that anymore because they want to make sure there's some return on their investment. They're going to go for the nostalgic bait or they're going to go for what's good. So you got the sequel-itis. But since you can pretty much sense the pulse of what people want through the internet almost a minute-to-minute basis and a
Mhm.
general idea, they just breathe that into the story. So of course it
Mhm.
starts to affect you have less of a story or more of a loose connection of events that tell a loose story connect with this nostalgic points that want to get you going like, oh, I
Yeah.
remember that. And
Yeah.
it's getting, Star Wars fell into that with the new trilogy. And it just, it's something where they can't let people just write stories. That's why like I see some movies, but even the sequels, I mean, Ghostbusters should have just been a one-off movie. Even when they made the original second Ghostbusters, people were like, it was okay. It had its moments. But I think the real Ghostbusters TV show worked better. I think they were more apt to try ideas. Yeah, I saw the new Ghostbusters. It was okay. I mean, I enjoyed it was. But then again, I just usually go in the movies saying if I'm entertained for 2 hours, I paid for this and I'm good, I guess. They just can't even follow. They make plots so complicated. Because I talked to my friend, the other day. I'm like, you remember the plot of Indiana Jones? He's like, oh yeah, the Raiders are like he can run that movie in your head. I'm like, do you remember the plot for the last Avengers movie? And he's like, I think they were going through time. And it's like, yeah, because they're throwing so much crap at you.
Yeah.
Like they're so intricate and the rewind and going over it.
Yeah.
It's like like you remember certain scenes, but you don't remember the overall story. And I think that's something
and
that's really
sometimes you have too many characters too. Like I
Yeah.
thought there was just way too much going on in this Ghostbuster. Like I said,
Yeah.
if it had just been focused on the new team, the other guys could have been there, like peripherally.
Yeah, they
more.
just should have kept
but-
Dan Aykroyd in the store.
Yeah.
And Ernie Hudson and Bill Murray didn't even need to be in it. I mean, you could tell
Yeah,
when he
it's-
was there, he's like, I'm here to get a paycheck and go home
Yeah.
and take a nap.
Yeah.
He didn't care. Yeah, it should have just been the kids. Because that girl who plays Egon's granddaughter, she's funny. I mean, she's got that Egon
McKenna
vibe.
Grace is great. She's legit.
Yeah.
She's legit. Yeah.
I need to let her off the hook and let her
that's
run that
100%.
movie more because I thought
100%.
her,
Yep.
and because in the Afterlife, I thought she was like, I'm like, yeah, this is because Egon was my favorite character. I'm like, this is Egon. Okay, she's hitting that. And then this one, they kept trying to, bring her down. And I'm like, yeah, they got too many like the mom.
Yeah,
I don't
they
care.
wrote a story where she wasn't allowed to do anything. Like,
Right.
what are you doing?
Yeah, because she had. I mean, she's definitely like could run the team.
Yep.
And I thought the kids were great in the Afterlife, and I thought it was weird that they weren't even really a team. I thought it was going to be the 4 kids, but then you have the African American lady in the lab, and then the podcast kids hanging out with Dan. They're not even a team together.
Yeah.
I thought that was the point of them being, but it's like they're off doing whatever. It's
It
like,
all
okay,
just became
so-
disjointed. Even the kid from Stranger
Yeah.
Things, he didn't do anything except go in the attic and find Slimer. Like that was his entire
Yeah.
purpose in the movie is, well, I'm going to go find Slimer. Okay.
They could have
great.
done something between those two, their brother and sister, or something. Or, yeah, I think there was, again, I think the corporate people like, who cares what's good? Just put out anything. People see it because it's Ghostbusters. And you think
Yeah,
they would
that's
learn
not
the lesson
happening.
of Star Wars? Because Star Wars, I mean, Disney got after the Han Solo debacle. They were like, okay, maybe we should stop or we're ahead. Because I mean, nobody ever thought a Star Wars movie would lose money, and then Han Solo bombed. And
Well,
Disney, I
when
think, was
you-
a little shocked
When
by
you
that.
when you let a Ryan Johnson come in and destroy your franchise,
Yeah,
and then you put out another Star Wars movie 6 months later. You're going to feel that. You're definitely going to feel that. So
I think the TV series have kind of done well, but again, they don't know what to do with the TV series. They're
very hit and miss.
They're very hit and miss. And The Mandalorian is the only thing that's following like a concurrent story. And they said the new Star Wars movie is The Mandalorian. I'm like, Disney, okay, not everyone watches The Mandalorian, and you're putting out a movie where somebody's going to have to watch 3 seasons of TV to even figure out what the hell is going. Like, why are you doing this? Why? So in the Marvel movies, I watched, I think the WandaVision. I haven't watched any of the Marvel series. I just kind of lost interest. And the new movies, I'm just like, oh, I'll just figure it out as I go along. But I kind of gave up. There's just too much stuff out there. So I did watch the Night of the Werewolf one because I wanted to see Man-Thing, which they kind of, I mean, he was cool, but they called him Bob. I'm like, no, dude, he's Man-Thing. He's badass. Why'd you ruin this? Why'd you have to make fun of him? He's a cool character. They never explained how he, why he lights people on fire when he touches them, which was a cool thing about the character. They just completely didn't. I had to explain to my, I think, friend watching it. I was like, oh yeah, he, because, the guilty of touched by the Man-Thing burst into flames. Like, oh, that's why. I'm like, yeah, they don't explain any of that. They just okay. So I'm like, yeah, there's the whole lore behind this character. It's really cool, and they just so. But that's always been my big problem with Marvel movies. I've always felt Disney, in a way, was almost kind of mocking comic book nerds who grew up with this stuff, because they're kind of saying, they make it so goofy that they're like, well, the only way anyone could take this stuff seriously is if you make it stupid, because comic books are stupid. And so we're going to show this movie to you, but we're going to make a bunch of jokes and make it stupid, because that's the only way anyone take it seriously. So I just quit watching them, because I'm like, yeah, I get it. Comic books are stupid. I get it. I grew up with this stuff. Thank you. Like all of you. I like them. I tell people that comic books are more serious. Well, that sounds boring. I'm like, they actually were really cool. Sorry.
Well, we live in unfortunately, we live in a society that is based on sarcasm, and
yes.
And I fully blame Mystery Science Theater 3000 for the decline of the movie experience, because people now go into theaters and think that it's okay to talk to the movie because they saw the guys talking about it. Well, I need to make fun of this while it's happening. I'm like, no, shut up and go do like anyone else and talk about it when you go to dinner afterwards. But because everything became comedy and sarcasm and wit and whatever, that just translated into culture and us. And so now that's all we see in these movies is not all movies, but in a good portion of these things, everything has to be a joke. It doesn't matter how sort of somber the moment is. Like, you can't let a moment ever sit. It's like it sits and then Ant-Man says something and you're like, oh my God, like he's so funny. No, we don't need that. Let the moment be the moment.
Yeah, because that was at one of the Thor movies when Asgard's burning to the ground and somebody makes a joke. And I'm like, yeah, this guy's city's burning to the ground. I'm like, let's make a joke. And I'm like, okay. Yeah, like that was a moment like that. And I was like, okay, I kind of done. And it's funny because now my friends used to love these movies. Like, these movies are all the same and it's the same plot. I'm like, yes, I mean, I knew that when they kept going, like, okay, it's the same plot. My friends like but now they're coming out like these are all the same. I'm like, you're just now figuring out it's the exact same plot with new jokes. Like,
yeah, and Keith, you're not wrong, but Mystery Science Theater came in as social media was happening too.
Yeah,
like this was happening for a while, and people were talking, about this stuff, and then social media happened. So there's a tangent, there's an absolute thread that goes from modern theater experiences now, why we don't like to be there because people are talking all the time, back to Mystery Science Theater. I guarantee
they actually start putting riff tracks on certain DVDs and stuff. Wasn't that something that certain DVDs or Blues that put riff tracks? They put commentaries, but there's one that would put riff tracks making fun. I can't remember if that was something like that was a connection to Mystery Science 3000, because it did move in that direction.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I take movies. I have a hard time finding anything to watch on TV anymore. But I really blame Josh Whedon with the Avengers, because he came in with this snarky attitude. We made a buttload of money off that. He's funny. And then they made every movie been that has been Josh Whedon impersonation. They've been trying to capture his magic, and I'm like, okay. So yeah.
Oh, and just so Keith doesn't worry, we didn't lose Lori to a tornado. She went to go put her head. She went to put her kids to bed.
Voluntarily excused, not whisked away.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. So it's all right. Don't worry about Lori. But
yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's where we are now, right? So we've evolved into that. But there was this long period of time where I would go to the movies and people would just be on their phone. They'd just be talking to each other. They'd be like, "Oh, that's so fun." I'm just like, there are appropriate responses to a film's events. You can laugh when it's funny, cheer when something happens. That's fine. But more often than not, I was just finding particularly younger people or just in there jacking around, and I'm like, this is terrible. That's why I started going to the movies basically in the morning now, so I could just have the theater almost to myself.
Yeah, especially when the tickets cost so much. I have family members that will sit there and talk out loud, even during the previews. I'm like, what's the big deal? Some previews. I'm like, it's other people have paid money to enjoy this. Just shut your pie hole and talk after the movie. How hard is this concept?
Yeah. I have to point out that my father does not have any skill whatsoever to whisper. My father was born in Italy, and they only have loudest and even louder. Well, I cannot go with my father because he will literally think he's whispering and be louder than anyone else talks. So yeah, I can't go with my father. But I can't stand the people that talk through. Well, now I haven't been to a theater in like forever. When I was a kid, the trailer was the only way to see anything at the movie theater. So like I loved going. The trailers were my favorite part, but now you can just watch it on YouTube. So it lost its glory. And,
what's funny is I have no recollection of trailers as a kid.
What?
Like absolutely none. I have no recollection of like going to see Empire Strikes Back and there being a trailer in front of it or after.
Not
like
that I remember.
No recollection of that whatsoever. Wow. That's really weird.
I remember some, but if it was a trailer, it was like 1 or 2.
Oh, it was not 40 minutes of trailers. No. But there was always at least 2 or 3 trailers. They were not as long. They weren't like 20 minutes each. But when I was a teenager, I loved trailers. I would go to the movie and I'd yell at everyone because I'm always on time or early. And I was like, we got to go. We're going to miss the trailers. I got to see the trailers. But now it lost its glory because it's like 40 minutes of trailers and I could just watch it when I get home.
On the internet, yeah.
Yeah, I could just, so it lost the glory there.
Well, when I went and saw Godzilla and Kong this week, they actually played the trailer for Godzilla Kong.
Yeah, I saw you said
Godzilla
that.
Kong came on. I'm like, am I in Inception? Like, what is happening right now? This is really weird.
Yeah.
The only trailer that I ever remember and still sticks to me to this day was the teaser trailer for Resident Evil because I was so excited. And that when that umbrella logo came up and it's in a commercial for the T-Virus, whatever they were doing, I was so excited for it and it sucked. So I don't want to talk about it. But that was the trailer that sticks in my mind that I remember seeing, that I was so excited because it was so unexpected. And I was hoping like Leanne and Claire were going to be it or Chris and Jill were going to be it. And I was like so excited. And they did it in such a cool way. It was like a commercial for, and I think it was staticking out at the end, like kind of like this is what's going to happen.
Did you like that new Resident Evil where they tried to reboot it? The Milla Jovovich is what it is. I like the Milla Jovovich movies.
I don't like. I tolerated. What was the one where Claire had red hair? Alive? Something Alive? I don't know what it was called.
There's like 6 movies in them, I think.
Yeah, it was like 4. I think it was 4. I think it was 4. No. Wait. 1, then they were in the city. They skipped 2 and went to 3, and then there was 4 with was Carlos in 3.
They did some jumps. I remember 2 because I remember between 2 to 3 was like I remember going in like, okay, they lost Jill at the end of 2. Joe got I think kidnapped or something.
Carlos was in 2 when he was supposed to be in 3. So they skipped 2.
And then you go to 3, she's
Then Claire had blonde hair. See, Claire was my favorite character. I role played her for 15 years. So they totally did her dirty because all of Mila Kunis, not Mila Kunis, what's her name? Mila Jovovich, whatever.
Yeah.
she did all of Claire's cool scenes. Like there's a
Mhm.
scene where in Code Veronica she runs past the windows and the helicopter comes and follows her, and
Yeah.
that chick stole it. But I think it's the fourth film where Claire actually has red hair. Too red.
They
but
finally
it was
gave
too
it to
red.
her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but people were mad because she was blonde in the last. Like, why was she blonde? Because then they finally did Leon with his jacket, and they turned him into this wussy little puppy dog crying
Yeah.
over Ada bullshit that I could not stand. So they ruined my second favorite character. And then I think Chris was in it at some point. I don't remember, but yeah, I'm sticking to the CGI movies, but that was the biggest disappointment. But I just remember the greatest joy ever was that freaking thing. I did not get to see Star Wars in the theater. I do remember we'd watch Ewoks and the Star Wars at home with the stereo on. You could play it through the stereo. We did not do Pink Floyd, so I don't know how well that syncs up, but I do know. Does it sync? Have you ever tried that? Does it sync up? I don't even know.
All I remember from the Pink Floyd The Wall is I remember buying Akira on VHS, and I brought it back, and I said it's the wrong tape. There's Pink Floyd The Wall, and he's like, "Oh, really? Sorry." He took out the tape, and the tape said Akira on it. It's like, "No, this says Akira," and I'm like, "No, you don't understand. The tape says Akira. Pink Floyd The Wall's on the film. Whatever they did when you start the movie, is Pink Floyd The Wall. It's not." And the guy's like, "Really?" And I'm like, "You gotta take my word for it." And he's like, "Okay, dude, whatever." And he gave me a new movie, but I was just like, "Yeah, I don't know how to explain it. Like, you just have to play it." It's because I thought it was a trailer, and then the 10 minutes into, I'm like, "Great, I'm not seeing my movie."
Is it Wizard of Oz that syncs to Dark Side of the Moon? I don't remember.
Yep.
There's there's one of them that does. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's probably I never, like I said, I never tried it, but yeah. I saw Krull in the theater. I did not, but I do love Krull. We talked about this last time. Krull is still one of my favorite movies. Even
That's
though
strange.
What?
Oh, go ahead. Oh, I
No,
remember there was.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Nope.
Oh no, there was a video game called Dark Sector. You got to basically throw the Krull star. I remember the game wasn't even that good, but there was a game you actually got to throw the star and you got to guide it. That was it. It was like the closest I got to having the Krull.
I played the Atari
Glaive.
Krull. I don't know what Krull you're playing, but I played a Atari Krull, and all I remember is the spider was timed and gave me heart attacks, and you had to get back to the castle by the time runs out of the day. Otherwise, the castle renews, and you have to go all the way back to the spider and do it all over again. Turn the glass over, get to the chick in the middle. She gives you the little fireball. You come back out, and then you have to get back to the castle. I did not do well on timed stuff for whatever reason. I am just Krull is a classic. Yes, it is. If they're gonna remake that and probably screw it all up, but it is a weird movie. It has weird sound effects that I could still hear right now when they shoot those skull things and those little things slither away. So those things are forever in my head.
Rygar was a cool game. Yeah, the only thing is you couldn't let go. It was like the big giant yo-yo. I actually remember playing. I was so Rygar. It was a game for the.
Is it a board game?
There was a board game for Well, there's board games for everything back in the olden days, and they're all pretty much terrible.
Yeah,
because it was it's like, hey, what kind of thing can we stick to a board, and what most basic rules can we create to move the same little pegs around? Yeah. It was very rare that you got sort of a good board game, unique and so on. It's like when you look at the Battlestar Galactica board game, it's just like a bunch of squares on the board and some weird cardboard cutouts that aren't really that interesting. It's just they're terrible. They're designed to just kind of sell an image on the box, and not much else went into them, unfortunately.
There's some new games they've done on movies and properties. There's a Doom board game based on the video game Doom. That was pretty fun. My nephews always play the Marines, and I'd school them with the demons. And somebody could play the demons, you could play the Marines. And there's an Alien versus Predator versus. It was Aliens, Predator, and there was like a third. Oh, the Marines are in there, and that was like a miniature game. We had tons of fun just beating the crap out of each other in that game. And so there's been a few on properties, but most of the time they're not.
Well, modern games are different. Modern games, again, there's still a board game for like everything.
Yeah.
They're significantly better than what they were trying to pull off in the 70s and 80s.
Well, I was surprised somebody remade. I don't know if they remade Thunder Road, the old board game Thunder Road that was based like a Mad Max. I don't know if you remember. I used to play with my friends, and it was like you're just going down this road, shooting each other in cars. And I saw a Kickstarter where I think a guy was making basically Thunder Road, but a modern version. I think he changed the name and did it. But I remember playing that one. That was, and they didn't call it Mad Max. It was obviously Mad Max, but they didn't have the license. They called it Thunder Road. But I played that with my friend all the time. So, but now my friends, when I grow up, I try to explain modern games, and they don't understand it. Like, what happens to it? Why are they so complicated? I'm like, I don't know, because they realize how old games suck, or they're not really. I don't know. I mean, they're making them bet. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry, you need to think about it. I mean, what do you want me to tell you, man?
Insane. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, it's 9:22. I did not realize that we are. I told poor Aaron that was an hour. But yeah, I guess we'll end it there because we could ramble on for another 3 hours. I know Tom can ramble on. Like Tom and I could ramble on for like probably 3 days straight. But I guess we'll cut it off there so we save some. I'm coming just up in there. he's got all. Hey, I used to play Leisure Suit Larry, but that's a whole other show right there. Anyway, so Aaron, do you have any Kickstarters live or coming up or anything?
No, I haven't. Well, I have one I'm working on, but it won't be out for a good while. I'm working on it slowly. My first one. But you can go to my store. Humphreys
tell them
Illustration.
you can.
Like my last name spelled, the Humphreys Illustration at bigcartel.com. Just put Humphreys Illustration. You'll find either the store or my website. You'll find it in Google, and you can buy all my stuff there. So.
Awesome. And I know how much Tom loves to say where he's from. So Tom, I know you have a don't you have April 6th something coming up?
Yeah, this Saturday, April 6th, launching Critter 23 this Saturday.
Awesome.
So yeah,
nice.
We'll be back up and running again.
I have mine's not until April 29th. So we're good. But I do have my pre-launch up, which you don't really do.
We'll have our pre-launch probably around Thursday, I would guess.
I'll post
it's in review right now, so we'll probably have it done in the next couple of days.
Mine's approved before I do my next one. But I will show, let me see. That's not it. I don't even know how, there we go. So this is mine. So you can go search Worthy Chaos, as we learned to do not do redemption. So go search Worthy Chaos and you can get the pre-launch, and it's Ivan Tao's cover, Serafina looking sexy in her nurse outfit. So we did get 76 followers in 2 days. So that was something.
That's good.
The numbers mean absolutely nothing. They only stroke my ego. So it's good enough for me. But anyway, so what is this? Do you want to do another stream on? I always want to do podcasts. And yeah, and you can ask me questions that I have very boring answers to, as we talked about before. But yeah, let me know. I used to do like 42 per Kickstarter, but now I'm down to like 20, and I think I'm only going to do like 10 this time because I have my own show that I don't say anything on. So like I don't think I showed my Kickstarter once in the whole month that I did this non-show. But anyway, you guys can come back for another non-show next Monday at 8 Eastern, and you can come watch Tom talk about sharks. And we always end the show with telling you to search for Big Shark. There's a reward of us ending the show when you find it. That's the joy of we get to not do this show anymore.
Tommy Wiseau made a shark movie called Big Shark. It's real. There's a trailer. It has been released to some capacity. It does not exist on the internet, so we need you all to find it.
We should like end this show with like a little shark that just goes by and says, "Find big shark." That's what we got to do. But okay, so we're gonna end the show as just as boring as we start, and just by pressing the damn button. So
Okay, bye.